In 1884, a brutal murder rocked the city of Austin. Over the next year, 7 more victims would be attacked in their homes, many while they slept. The killer was never caught. Some called him a phantom, others believed he had supernatural powers, but eventually, the press gave him a name: Servant Girl Annihilator. This may have been America's first serial killer and one of its darkest unsolved mysteries.
Anyone who knows me knows that I love telling stories. I also love hearing stories. Out here at the Habitat, we do a little bit of both. I'm going to make a little fork in the road of the channel here, and I'm going to tell some of the stranger stories that I've heard out here. This is Texas Tales at CrownFox Habitat.
Austin in 1884 was a growing frontier city. 12,000 people, 30 police officers. The streets were mostly dirt. Electricity had just started to arrive. Most of its black residents lived in communities like Clarksville and Wheatsville and worked as domestics, servants, cooks, house staff. And that's where our story begins. The first victim on December 30th, 1884, was Molly Smith, a black woman in her 20s, working as a cook and living with her partner, Walter Spencer. She was murdered in her bed with an axe. Her body was dragged into the backyard and mutilated. Walter was badly injured too, slashed and bleeding, but he survived. He told police that they'd been attacked while sleeping. Authorities arrested Walter almost immediately. No one believed a killer could enter a home silently and strike both people in bed without being seen. But it wouldn't be the last time. 3 months later, on March 19th, 1885, 2 Swedish women, Clara Strand and Christine Martinson, were attacked while walking home at night. They were beaten nearly to death with a metal bar, but they both survived. Like Molly, they were also domestic workers, cooks. There was no robbery, no motive, just another brutal attack with no one to blame. Then on May 6th, 1885, Eliza Shelley was found with her skull crushed behind her employer's home in West Austin. Her young child had been sleeping inside and was unharmed.
Eliza's murder matched the same pattern. Head trauma, it happened at night, nobody saw.
2 weeks later, on May 22nd, 1885, another black servant named Irene Cross in East Austin. She was nearly scalped with a knife and left to die. Neighbors heard nothing. She lived long enough to describe her attacker as a man with an axe, but that's all she said before dying. Austin newspapers now began whispering, was this the work of just one man? On August 30th, 1885, 11-year-old Mary Ramey was murdered in her bed. Her mother, Rebecca, was found badly beaten nearby, but still alive. Rebecca remembered almost nothing. The city was in full panic by now. Residents began tying cans to their doors and windows and sleeping with rifles. Austin officials began erecting the now famous moon towers as lookout points in a small effort to quell the rising panic. These towers, still standing today, would become part of the city's strange legacy. On September 28, 1885, a black couple, Gracie Vance and Orange Washington, were attacked in their home. They were killed with an axe and dragged outside. Their heads were nearly crushed. 2 other boarders in the house were also attacked and survived with severe injuries. This was now the 7th known assault.
And just when Austinites thought it couldn't get any worse, it did.
On December 24th, 1884, Christmas Eve, 2 white women were murdered in different parts of town, just hours apart. Susan Hancock was killed in her daughter's bedroom with her head split with a sharp object. Across town, 17-year-old Eula Phillips was found naked in the backyard. Her husband, James Phillips, was asleep in the next room. He said he heard nothing. These were prominent families, and for the first time, law enforcement was publicly forced to act. Sheriff Malcolm Hornsby, head of Austin Police Department, began organizing posses and investigating connections between the murders. They had few clues and little support. The panic was already spiraling out of control. Over 400 arrests were made in the months that followed. Police targeted mostly black men, laborers, drunks, vagrants. 2 men were lynched. Their names have been lost to history, but their deaths were called justice, as city leaders used them to claim that the killer had finally been caught.
And there were no more murders. For years, people thought the case was closed. But behind closed doors, the fear still lingered. They thought it might have been someone who had an intrinsic knowledge of each property. Maybe a gardener, maybe a laborer.
One theory claimed that he was a demon, moving silently, able to bypass dogs and locks, and husbands sleeping in the next room. Newspapers never used the term Servant Girl Annihilator, but the nickname stuck, coined in a letter by William Sidney Porter, better known as O. Henry. And then in 1888, 3 years later, Jack the Ripper terrorized London. Some British papers asked, could this be the same man? Could the Servant Girl Annihilator have crossed the ocean? 8 known victims, mostly women, mostly servants, attacked in their home, in their sleep.
No one was ever tried. No one was ever convicted. Only silence. And for a year, Austin lived in fear. This is Texas Tales at CrownFox Habitat.